Mabuhay and good day everyone. I am Marie Angela Denau and will be presenting the heritage mapping and inventory. So now let's move on and know more about heritage mapping. So a heritage inventory is a detailed record of heritage assets, including tangible and intangible elements. It includes descriptions, photographs, location data, historical background, and current condition of heritage sites or practices. Heritage inventory is a comprehensive record or database of sites, buildings, objects, landscapes, or other cultural elements that are considered to have historical, cultural, architectural, or archaeological significance. So for the components of heritage inventory are site name and description, geographic location or GPS coordinations, historical background, cultural significance, current condition and conservation status, photographs, and maps. So, heritage mapping is the process of identifying and documenting cultural, historical, and natural assets of a community. It involves locating sites, structures, traditions, and practices that have cultural significance. This helps in preserving and promoting cultural identity and heritage. So, for the importance of heritage mapping is to preserve cultural identity and local history, aids in planning and development, promotes tourism and education, involves the community in heritage conservation.
So, methods of heritage mapping. So, heritage mapping is the process of identifying, documenting, and visually representing cultural and natural heritage in a specific area. The main goal is to make heritage resources more visible and easier to access for planning, education, conservation, and community engagement. So there are four main methods used. The first one is field surveys and observations, where researchers visit sites and record what they see. And the second one is community interviews and oral histories, where stories and traditions are shared by local residents, especially elders. The third one is archival research, which involves studying historical records, photos, and documents. And the last method is participatory mapping workshops, where community members help create maps and share knowledge of their area. So these methods ensure a complete picture of a community's cultural and natural heritage. So example, local heritage mapping project. So in a small town, a group of students work together with elders to record local traditions and landmarks. They combine digital tools with oral history interviews to create a community heritage map. So this map was later included in school lessons and used for promoting tourism in their area. So this example shows how heritage mapping can educate communities and also support local tourism and cultural pride. So example of heritage mapping in Luzon. First, we have Vegan Ilocos Sur. This is famous for its Spanish colonial architecture and ancestral houses. Through heritage mapping, we can preserve the structures that show our country's colonial past. And next, the Ifugao Rice Terraces, also known as the Eighth Wonder of the World. Here, heritage mapping focuses on documenting indigenous practices and the landscape that has been maintained for thousands of years. Then we have Intramuros in Manila. It serves as an inventory of historical buildings and World War II landmarks, preserving our history and culture. Lastly, although it's not in the Philippines, Bali, Indonesia is included as a global example. Mapping here involves documenting temple rituals, traditional dances, and crafts, showing us how heritage mapping applies across different cultures. So moving on to the example of heritage mapping in Visayas. So first is the Miyag-Ao Church in Iloilo, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So heritage mapping highlights its Baroque style architecture and the cultural symbolism in its design. So in Bohol, we have the Chocolate Hills and the heritage churches like Baclayon and Lobok. So mapping here involves both natural landmarks and centuries-old churches. Next is Giyan in Eastern Samar, where heritage mapping covers not just the Giyan Church, but also the traditional fishing communities. So this became very important after the Typhoon Yolanda for cultural preservation and rebuilding community identity. And finally, the example of heritage mapping in Mindanao. So we start with the Agusan Marsh in Agusan del Sur. Heritage mapping here documents both the natural and cultural heritage of the Madobo communities, along with its rich biodiversity. And next, the Torogan houses of Maranao in Lanao del Sur. These are traditional royal houses decorated with ochre carvings symbolizing Maranao culture. Heritage mapping helps preserve these structures and their cultural meaning. And lastly, in Zamboanga City, we have Fort Pilar and the Hermosa Festival. Mapping here focuses on the Spanish fort, the shrine, and the annual festival that blends Catholic and local traditions. It shows how heritage mapping can capture not only physical structures but also living traditions. So, conclusion, heritage mapping and inventory are important tools to protect and celebrate our cultural heritage. By involving the community and using modern technology, we can ensure that our traditions and stories are preserved for future generations. This process helps us connect with our history, strengthen our identity, and create opportunities for education and tourism. That's all, and thank you for listening.